on matters agriculture, and this time talk about the Galana Kulalu scheme, where recently the Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture visited, and basically to bring us an update on that, well, the East Africa Capital Markets Authority, the Grain Council, and Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat have endorsed the Galana Kulalu Food Security Project after touring the demonstration farm. The team says it would be futile if the project does not get support from the private sector and relevant ministries to complete components like roads, a dam to increase water capacity, a training institute, and milling facilities. The project's budget was cut down in December 2015 from some 14 billion shillings to 7.2 billion shillings upon the recommendation of the National Assembly Committee on Agriculture, which argued that those components should be implemented in phases. Our special correspondent Alex Chamoda has more on that story.
For the first time, members of Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat, together with private sector representatives, made an impromptu visit to the Galana Kulalu Food Security Demonstration Farm to assess the progress of the project. It was raining at some point as they toured the farm. Rare rains in this area. Planting was going on to bring to 4,000 acres the land under crop on the 10,000-acre demonstration farm. The crop has been staggered so that harvesting can be done at various stages for better post-harvest management. Meanwhile, harvesting of the mature crop continues, this being the third harvest of the test crop since the project was launched about 3 years ago. At the intake along River Galana, more works. A diversion canal is being constructed near the intake and the pump station. This was a fact-finding mission, according to Dr. Julius Muya, the Director General of the Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat.
Our work is actually facilitating and coordinating some of these big projects within Vision 2030. And we came because seeing is believing. And now, having seen what is happening, we are very convinced that government can deliver.
The funding that was initially asked for was scaled down by almost, in fact, by 50%. And yet, we have still managed to get the project to where it is now.
Vision 2030 is Kenya's economic blueprint, showing the economic targets Kenya intends to achieve by the year 2030, with agriculture listed as one of the key components of the economic pillar. The sector has for many years formed the backbone of Kenya's economy, accounting for about 80% of national employment, mainly in rural areas.
Agriculture actually is the second most important project. When we are doing Vision 2030 in the economic pillar, agriculture emerged as the second, next to tourism. And for that matter, when you're looking at agriculture, we need to look at agriculture, A, that is producing high yields, and agriculture that is delivering at a low cost. And this Galana Kulalu is one of those projects where it fits in the bill in terms of where we want to go as a country.
We are saying, as private sector, we have that, we have the resources, and all what we need to do is there to be a formula, a framework that can engage the private sector to come in and partner with government in doing the actual work, the actual production.
When you're talking about 1 million acres under irrigation, it really brings up the question of what happens once it's harvested. When we start putting in place the necessary storage capacity, once it's stored, what happens? How are we going to make sure that that value is actually transferred to the farmers, those who are most engaged? And that's where the capital markets is playing a role. We're working with the key ministries from trade, agriculture, mining, to put in place an infrastructure and a framework for the introduction of a commodities exchange in Kenya.
However, critics say it is a bad idea to pump billions of shillings in mega projects like the Galana Kulalu Food Security Project instead of empowering smallholder farmers, with others arguing that in the long run, it is better to import maize if the aim of such projects is to bridge the gap between production and consumption.
The government is trying to fill the gap of food security by growing all the maize in one place using the technologies that are available. But in my opinion, it doesn't translate into getting the country, self-sufficient.
However, the Principal Secretary in charge of irrigation, Patrick Ndwati, says the arguments are misplaced.
Every year we use over 15 billion shillings to import maize in this country, amongst other foods. Given the production here using Kenyan soil, Kenyan water and Kenyan labor, at the model farm level, we can almost manage up to about 5 to 10% of that needs, those needs for imports. In other words, as we scale up this farm to 100,000 acres plus, we will not need to import maize in Kenya.
In a recent visit to the demonstration farm, the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation, Eugene Wamalwa, said irrigation is the future of Kenya's agriculture.
We have the 10,000 model farm, then we are going to open up to 500,000 acres. But nationally, as we speak right now, we are almost at 500,000 acres nationally. And we're doing not just in Galana. A day ago, we were with His Excellency the President and the Deputy President in Pokot, and we are launching the Weiwei irrigation scheme of over 1,500 acres. In August, we were in Turkana, launching the Lawyer Pat irrigation scheme. We again launched another one called Marich Pass in Pokot. An accumulation of all these acreage would go towards the 1 million acres. And we believe by 2017, we should have 1 million acres under irrigation.
The National Irrigation Board says Galana Kulalu is not just about maize. While the targeted area is about 1 million acres, upon maturity of the project, it is expected that maize will take 500,000 acres, sugarcane 200,000 acres, ranching 150,000 acres, and horticulture 100,000. The National Assembly Committee on Agriculture is, however, not convinced that the project is on track.
The September period is over. We have said March. We don't know even where the target of March is going to be achieved. We are yet to see. The harvest is now almost post-harvest. There's a lot of wastage because there's no storage facilities. Good enough, at least maybe they have involved the Ministry of Devolution to buy the maize that they have harvested for feeding the people, hungry people in Kilifi and Lamu and those areas and Tana River.
What we have is a situation where the equipment delayed in being installed. The second intake took quite a bit of time to construct, but as we speak now, we have all the equipment here.
And there are mixed feelings about the impact of the project so far, especially on the communities in Kilifi and Tana River counties that host the project.
Benefits of this particular project ought to trickle to the hands of Kilifi people, but that is not the case.
On my behalf, I can say it has improved my standard of living, and also if I can consider the entire community. We have some ladies who are working on the hotels, of which they get self-employment. We have other people who have been employed here. So now it has transformed totally the life of the people.
For the country, it's a good grain store for the country. It's a granary for the country. But for the county, we've yet to reap the benefits.
Tunayo furaha. Tumepata mradi mzito sana, ambapo kama ungeangukia sehemu nyingine ingebidi vijana hapa kuenda sehemu hiyo na kutafuta ajira.
By March we will be doing what we are calling the launching of the Galana project, where we will be saying we have completed the project.
So a key deadline there to watch, March 2017 as promised, and that's barely 4 months from now. Will the 10,000 acre model farm be ready? Will all the infrastructure be in place to allow the private sector to come in? And will the investors be ready to pump in their money? Will it be profitable? For KTN News, I'm Alex Chamwada at the Galana Kulalu